I did a Pleco one time, and it didn't taste bad. It kind of tasted like tuna. But he was sitting there, I went past him the first time and I let him go. And then I was coming back and I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot, show everybody what he's like. That armor, he's got that armor like those gar do. But if you don't know what these are, they're an invasive species in Florida. These are basically those sucker catfish that you put in your fish tank. Well, somebody must have taken one out of its fish tank and threw them in the river, and they're all over the place now. Actually, what I saw one time in the springs, there were thousands of these in the spring. Salt Springs, the last video I did in Salt Springs, there were thousands of them. And I think they went in and exterminated them because they closed the spring for a little bit. Don't mark me on this, but they closed the springs, and then when I came back the next time, there were none of these in there. And what we saw was the manatees that were in the spring, when they killed off all the grass in the spring, we're not going to get into that either, why they killed the grass, but there's no grass in the spring anymore. That's why in the video you saw that there was this mud on the bottom. Well, that entire spring used to be green, beautiful grass with the blue water, none of that murky stuff that you saw. But anyway, I talked to a guy, and he said that they had gone in and sprayed along the banks of Lake George, and evidently they killed everything off inside the springs too, and it hasn't come back. It's been about, it was pre-COVID, so however many years that's been. So I was in the spring and I saw this thing rolling on the bank, and it ended up, it was a manatee rolling on the bank. And the next time I came back, I asked the guy what was going on, and he said that these things were connecting themselves to the manatees, and they were eating the algae off the manatees. And that's why the manatees were rolling in the mud trying to get these things off of them, and that's why the springs were so dirty. The spring water, except right where the spring in the front, where the water was forceful, where it was coming in. The rest of the springs were just no grass, and hundreds of these, thousands of these, and there were manatees, but they had no food.